because then the back draw is playable, right? So anyway, I don't know how we got onto that, but oh yeah, I was saying that Althoff's wins in the pro don't count because they were back draw, except for over Sincola. He owns Sincola.
All right, what? So that's my number one on PPA. What do you got?
Well, we didn't get a chance to talk about
Mr. Sock.
Yeah,
I have a question for you on Mr. Sock. All right, obviously he had a crazy run in mixed, win gold next to Anna Lee. Anna Lee is a cheat code. As we've seen in men's doubles, it was a pretty quick 2-and-out. Him alongside Tyson McGuffin.
Did they play the back draw?
I don't know, but my question is, Sock is having some early success. Obviously, he has a ton of potential and a lot of upside. Sounds like he's considering very heavily playing Major League Pickleball. Is this one of those instances where he has enough game that he can kind of get by, and he has this aggressive style of play that is unorthodox and sort of takes people by surprise, but as soon as people start to study his game and get used to his style of play, that won't have as much of an outsized impact, and he'll start to normalize, similar to a lot of players who come onto the tour and have early success. I mean, Brendan Long isn't necessarily that, but he's similar in that, you know, he had like a great run, but now he's starting to sort of normalize a little bit. Like, do you think that will happen with Sock? Like, is it sort of just like the newness is to his advantage right now?
Yeah, but so yes, the newness and just he hits different pickleball shots, right? He's definitely doing things differently from the status quo, and so it certainly
like what?
Catches really moving around and hitting mostly forehands when playing the ad side. Most of us, if the ball gets wide enough, we're taking a backhand. He will run around it, and try to hit a forehand,
right,
and can really be pretty.
And he's fast enough to get around the ball effectively more frequently than most, right? He's so athletic.
Yeah, so he's doing that a lot and just being pretty aggressive on everything. So that I would say that's the main thing. And so
can you hold on for somebody like me, right, who isn't a pro brain, right? I'm very much like I look at pickleball as an amateur. Can you explain why that is? Like, what is the big difference between that style of play in mixed versus gender doubles?
Mm-hmm.
Why isn't it as effective when he goes into men's doubles?
Well, I would say that maybe not a tremendous amount of people know this, but he got kind of a nightmare first round matchup against my Pro XR boys. So he played against Eric Roddy and Jim Dobrin. Uh-huh. And you know who he trains with over in Charlotte?
Those two.
Eric Roddy and Jim Dobrin.
Yeah.
So that's a little example of those guys know his game. Right. And I'd be very curious to know, you know, how frequently are Eric and Jim, who are very good players, how frequently are they beating him in practice? Like, was the way that Jack played difficult to deal with at first, and did he sort of normalize to them and now they know how to beat him? Mm-hmm. Or did they just play the match of their lives? I don't know the answer to that. They did play very well and not miss very much. But I also think they're good players because they use great paddles.
But why? So why does that sort of like aggressive style of play, and why does Jack Sock's style of play work better in mixed than it does in men's?
A lot of times in mixed, you just try to, if you're a player like Jack, you just want to try and keep the points broken down and dynamic. You don't want to get into sort of stagnant dinking rallies. You want to be moving, you want to be hunting, and Anna Lee loves to play that way too, where she's speeding up. So,
and if he can speed up, you know, in mixed, typically, you know, that partner might not be able to clean up your mess. But when you have Anna Lee next to you, she's gonna clean it up way more often than most.
Right. And
so you can be more aggressive and more liberal with your play.
There's a little bit more space to hit into in mixed doubles. And what I mean by that is generally women play slightly off the line. And I think your average female pro pickleball player is probably a couple inches shorter than your average male. So you have more space to hit into when you hit towards the female, right? You can push the dink back behind the kitchen line a little bit. The males typically try to constrict that space and play from the middle more. They try to take on a little bit more space. And so as a result of that, you can hit behind them. So a pattern that I saw all weekend was Jack on the left side. He would run around his backhand to hit a forehand, and he would send it back behind the guy because the guy was creeping over to cover the middle. So you can break down points a little bit easier and make them into sped up rallies or athletic and dynamic rallies, which is exactly what Jack wanted to do. He didn't want to be out there dinking for 40 shots.
Right.
You know, he didn't want to be like Callan Dawsoning it.
Yeah.
Right. So, and Annalee's pretty good too. But I think his ability to create offense is really good in mixed, and he has great hands. His dink isn't exploited as much when you're playing mixed doubles, and there is a little bit more space to hit into. In men's doubles, if you leave your dink up, a ball or two, you can get punished for it. And one thing to note, I think that Jack has actually been playing a lot more than people think. Yes. Clearly first tournament.
Yeah, this was kind of a little bit of a discrepancy where he was sort of trying to downplay his pickleball experience.
For sure.
Someone went and dug up a clip from years ago where he's actually playing pretty high-level pickleball.
Yeah, from what I understand, I mean, I think that he's been playing for at least 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Playing meaning, I don't know what that means. Clearly he's not out there playing every single day, but some people that I know say that he's been taking it pretty seriously recently.
Yeah, right.
And just, it's kind of what I did for a while as well, where before I started playing every day, I was playing, maybe once every 2 weeks. And just that was enough to sort of stay with the development of the game and whatnot. And then when I did take it more seriously, I got better fast.
Right.
But you can stay competent when you play, once every 2 weeks, once a month, something like that. So I think he wanted to downplay it because he didn't want to be like, look, I've been playing for 5 years every day.
Yeah.
Now is finally my chance to play with Annalee Waters.
Right.
Blow it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah. I think you still can't understate how impressive it is that he goes and he gets a gold. You can't, right?
Not at all.
So I don't know. I think Tyson Apostle and I were talking. We were like, this is a bad look for the sport, right? Like
it is, but also like the situation was very, very good for him, right? To play with the best female in the world, and he didn't just walk out there and win his first time playing. It was his first tournament, but by all accounts, he'd been playing for it.
But people can say that, right? Like, he basically walked out there his first pro tournament and won gold, right? So